The Tisell Explorer. I could tell you, but I'd rather show you. Check this out. What's up, Schwartz Force? Welcome back to the channel. We got a doozy for you today. We're taking a look at my Tisell Explorer watch. I know you guys have been waiting for it. I'm sorry about the wait. I missed y'all, by the way. I've been super busy with work and some travel and kind of taking some me time. So I apologize. I haven't been putting out as many videos as regularly, but I hope to get back on track very soon. So we're going to take a look at the Tisell Explorer and why I feel this is the best Rolex Explorer 1 Homage out there. And I'll get into the specs and the details as to why I think that. But I can't wait to hear your thoughts too, so we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. But real quick, in case if you are new to the channel, my name is Dave. May the Schwartz be with you. Hey, did you know it's a great day to wear a watch? Boom, today I have on, let's see if we can get this in focus, my Brew Retrograph, and I have it on this engineer bracelet, engineer style bracelet. Really cool from Strapsco. Love the combo. I've had it on beads of rice, leather, suede, all sorts of cool straps and bracelets, but this one is what I'm rocking today. So let's go ahead and flip the camera around. We'll take an in-depth look and review of this watch, and then I'll tell a little bit more too on how this played such an important role in my decision of buying the Tudor Black Bay 41. I'll give you a sneak peek of that as well. But without further ado, let's get into it. Okay guys, so first things first, just really kind of the basic packaging boxing. Man, I need to clean this, it's a little dirty. But you can see it's like a faux leather, has some contrast white stitching, a simple button holds it in place, and then we have the watch on this kind of velvet pillow, and inside that is just the extra links that I have. Now I did pick up this watch pre-owned, so this is all that it came with. I'm sure there's papers or other documents that it probably had initially, but that's just a quick little unboxing to show you the packaging there. And here's the watch, of course. So let's go ahead and start with measurements as we always do. So I got my calipers here. So the case diameter on this watch is right at 39 millimeters. If we include the crown, it's going to put us just at about 42.7 millimeters. Now the lug to lug is a little tricky on this one. So if we go for the lug to lug of the case, it's coming in just under 47 millimeters, but if you look, it does have the male end links, and so that's where we want to measure at its widest, because if you have a smaller wrist, the actual width from the end link to end link is 53 millimeters, so that's going to sit quite wide on a smaller wrist, and that's something you want to be aware of. It does wrap around though, so if you have it on a smaller wrist, it will come straight down with the links, so it might actually wear a little bit better than you may think, just going off of the dimensions. And then the case thickness with this flat sapphire crystal, it's putting us just under 12 millimeters at 11.8. So something to keep in mind. Now this does have a 20 millimeter lug width. I just think that when you experience this watch on the bracelet, you're more likely to keep it on the bracelet, but of course you can go with leather, sailcloth, a whole bunch of different type of strap options out there, suede, different materials and colors. It's going to play nicely with all of those. My favorite though is the actual bracelet. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. We're looking at a 316L solid stainless steel case. That does also include a 316L solid stainless steel bracelet, as well as clasp, and these are solid end links, as you can see there. And this clasp is probably one of the coolest things about this watch. Now I will say one of the things you want to be aware of is the fitment, and this is just the case with my particular watch. It may not be with all of them, but with enough pressure, you kind of see there's some movement there. So it can separate just a little bit from the case and make a little bit of a gap. So that's one thing that I did want to point out with this particular one. I may be able to correct that with maybe a different spring bar. Maybe it'll put more tension and prevent it from kind of wiggling. So there's a little bit of play there. But other than that, the bracelet itself is very solid. You'll notice it's in that Rolex style with, of course, a fold over locking clasp. So you have those steel little kind of pins that hold the clasp in place, and then you just flip it up. Same thing like with Rolex, pop it back and it'll open up for you. Now, one thing that really sold me on this watch is the fact that it does have the glide lock style bracelet. Make a smaller size on the bracelet, or we can pop that out and then of course extend it. This does come in handy, and this watch has really spoiled me to these kind of bracelets. I know Tudor with the new bronze release has a similar type of bracelet, and I can't wait for them to release a stainless steel version because I'd be happy to pick one up. Now, I do want to show there is a little bit of movement here. So the finishing on the bracelet isn't as good as a Rolex, obviously. The edging on it's really sharp on the corners, so that's probably the thing I like the least about the bracelet. And then you can see how it sits on the wrist. Okay, now getting back up close on the dial, we see it's very much a Rolex Explorer homage. It does have the black enamel dial color, and you see we have a smooth, high polish bezel, polishing on the sides of the case as well as the sides of the bracelet, and then we have brushing on the fronts of the lugs, transitions into high polish. So we have a screw down crown with a coin edge, and then there is Tisell branding on the crown as well. Now it screws in easily, and this is also a hand winding movement as well as an automatic movement. We see water resistance of 100 meters thanks to, of course, that screw down crown and the oyster style case back, just like the Rolex Explorer. They did a good job with a mirror polish finish. Obviously, as you can see, there's some scuffs there just from desk diving and whatnot. But I do like that we're getting a flat sapphire crystal. This does have a clear AR coating applied to the inside of the crystal. And the movement that's powering this watch is actually the Miyota 90S5. So this is a no date automatic movement, has 24 joules, 42-hour power reserve, and it does allow for hand winding and hacking, which I know with a lot of the lower end Miyota movements, it does not allow for hacking. This one does, and I just absolutely love it. The rotor also is not as loud as some of the cheaper Miyota movements. So this has a really good movement inside of it. We'll get to the performance of the movement here in just a moment, but I do want to also point out that we do have applied indices to the dial in that Rolex style, and these are lume filled. 3-set hand, obviously hour, minute, second hand with the lollipop second hand, and then of course our Mercedes style hour hand. I like that the hand extends all the way out to the chapter ring as well as the second hand, so they did a really good job there. And the lume on this watch is great. We're looking at Swiss BGW9 Super Luminova, and then we do see the printed minute markers along the outer chapter ring. So all in all, great homage. I like that the bezel isn't overly thick like I've seen in some cheaper homage watches of the Explorer. This one seems to be the proportions done a little bit better. Now that being said, it's still not as thin, or the proportions aren't the exact same as the Rolex Explorer. So that's just something you want to keep in mind. It's not a one-to-one copy or anything like that. But that being said, I think it's just absolutely stunning. Before we get on the time graph, let me just throw some different straps on here just to kind of give you an idea of how well this watch will play. Alright guys, so I've had this sitting on the time graph for a couple of minutes, and as you can see, we're getting really good rate of +2 to +3 seconds per day. The amplitude I would like to see a little bit higher, you know, maybe over 275, but it's not too low, so it's a little weak there. Beat error only at 0.2, which is great. And then of course we see the 28,800 vibrations per hour, which is awesome. That's allowing for more ticks per second, giving that smoother sweep throughout the movement. I hope you've been enjoying the video so far. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. That really does help out my channel, so thank you in advance. And I want to talk a little bit about how this watch played such an important role in me getting the Tudor Black Bay 41. I love that it's got the no date, very minimalist kind of clean look to it. I like the triangle indice at 12, and while I like the 369 Arabic numerals, it wasn't like I have to have it, you know what I mean? But the clean bezel, that rich enamel black dial, these are things that sold me on wanting to go for the Tudor Black Bay 41 instead of the 58, for example, with the dive bezel or one of the other versions of the Tudor Black Bay. I just felt like after wearing this Tisell Explorer on the wrist so much, while yes, I would have liked an Explorer 1 by Rolex, you know, they're like $7 to $9 grand if I'm not mistaken on the pricing, and it would have just been longer to save. And really, when I saw the Tudor, there's just something about it. Maybe it's the chunkier case size and shape, just being a little bit larger. I have, you know, 7-inch wrist, maybe 7.25-inch wrist, and so I tend to like larger pieces. And I know that Rolex has the Oyster Perpetual that you can get with the 369 that are loomed, but it'll have the Rolex crown at 12 instead of the Explorer style triangle indice, but it's a 36 millimeter. And so for me, I think it would just be a tad too small. This one being 39 was a great size, but the Black Bay 41 actually wears almost the same in my opinion, at least when I look at it. And then I like that the Black Bay has that kind of larger crown. So having this Tisell Explorer with the larger crown, it just kind of like set me up to really appreciate the Tudor more. Let me know your thoughts though. I mean, what do you guys think of Tudor versus Rolex? I kind of feel like because it's easier for people like myself and others out there to jump into Tudor as a brand compared to Rolex, just because of the cost and being on a waiting list and things like that. I want to hear your thoughts, so drop me a comment down below. What do you think? I understand that not everyone has the budget or the desire to put that kind of money into a watch, and so having this Tisell Explorer Homage will definitely scratch the itch in my opinion. And I think because of the specs and the materials you're getting for the price, really can't be beat. I know that the other Homages out there have a little bit fatter bezel, but I don't know. To me, the biggest downfall with this Homage, I guess you could say, for some is that kind of extended lug to lug height with the male in links might be a problem for smaller wrists out there. It's not as thin as the Rolex Explorer, so that could be another deal breaker for some out there. But again, these are just my thoughts, but drop me a comment down below. Let's have a conversation. I want to hear what you guys think. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're not already a part of the Schwartz Force, I'd love to have you join the family. You can do that by clicking my logo down here. And if you want to see more videos like this, check these out. I know you'll really enjoy them. But until next time, guys, I look forward to seeing you. May the Schwartz be with you. Take care.